People, how are we doing today? Hopefully you guys are doing good. Alright, I just want to talk about something real quick. Alright, it's not gonna be no prog video, no debunking ganking video, no prog. Alright, genuinely, I just want to talk about the state of this game, like many others are right now. Okay, it's a little, I don't want to get into it right now, but I had a debunking video planned. I actually had numerous videos planned, but I haven't uploaded in like 8 days or something like that. I'm trying to keep it consistent these days, but genuinely, there's literally nothing to do on Deep. Like, besides ganking, there's nothing to do. Look, Oozwald, this boss sucks. I hate this boss. Oozwald's garbage. I lost a life to him. Maybe two, maybe three, something like that. But I don't like that boss. That boss is garbage. Okay, you need to get rid of him. But anyway, I just want to chat, okay? I just want to chat about the state of this game. Now, there's a lot of things that you may have heard, specifically with this new update that's coming in, hopefully this Friday. And there is, the player count, it's not looking too bright right now. It's like at 2K, well, it was thriving. The game's thriving on release. Almost 30K, I believe, something like that. A lot of people were playing the game, and a lot of people seem to be kept in the loop for maybe a week or two before they ultimately dropped the game for type Diddy. Yes, type garbage. They dropped the game for type garbage, right? And I can't say I didn't play type garbage. I did. I'm an honest politician. I did play type garbage, but I did not enjoy playing type garbage. Matter of fact, I'm progressing in a wrong car right now, and I don't want to. And I gotta go through the motions of getting fast car and all that other silliness. I'm trying to use that real quick. But yeah, there's just genuinely a lot of critique that the game could take right now in its early stages before it just plummets down to the ground and all the players just leave this game and get swept up by Rogue Lineage again. You know, Rogue Lineage is at a peak of 300 players this year, you know? That is fantastic for Rogue Lineage. I don't even know how that damn game's still alive, you know? That game needs to get booted off into space or something like that because that game does not deserve to be alive. However, let's talk about its counterpart, Rogueblox. Rogueblox, as you may know, has been struggling recently. And, you know, I had a whole, I had a whole script planned out for this video, what I was going to talk about, what I was going to say. But you know what, we're just going to wing it, and hopefully my points get across somewhat decently, okay? I don't even know if my mic's on right now. You know, I'm not going to check. I'm not going to bother. If this recording goes up, it goes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't care. Just want to talk about my own personal concerns for the game, what this game could be doing better. Let's get into it. My first thing I want to talk about is the dang bouncing in this game. This game suffers from Rogue Lineage. I'm stammering. Oh my god, I'm stammering just thinking about it. Rogue had some of the worst bouncing Roblox has ever seen. Like, I'm not kidding. Faceless macro, Shinobi macro, literally everything had a macro. Okay, and I can't say that I was not an offender of this because I unfortunately was. You know, I abused macros as well, but not to a crazy extent, right? Just for testing purposes, if you know what I mean. I never went out in Gaia, decided to go gank some randoms with a faceless macro. See, I was an actual skilled player. Yeah, no, I wasn't really that good at Rogue, but the problem with this game's bouncing is that everything has its strength, but not everything has its weaknesses. See, Dagger can put you into true stun combos, literally infinite combos. You can't do anything about it. Now, my problem with this is, unlike Rogue Lineage had a bunch of true stun. Okay, Dagger, faceless, whatever, triple dagger throw, you know, Shadow Fan, all that garbage had a lot of stun to it, right? The problem with this game is that there is no way to get out of the stun. Maybe you can dodge in Rogue Lineage, right? But if you get into a combo and you are trying to dodge, or you're trying to press F and high ping, you cannot do any of those things. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe they just need to increase the dodge frames and iframes slightly more if you're getting, I don't know, if you have more than 2 people on you, or 2 tags. I don't know if this game has a tag system. See, I haven't played that much. No, I've only been on the game. I came on the game a week after it released. You know, I just want to see what was going on. So I don't know too much about the game yet. But I can progress literally everything in this game, and that's good. Okay, that's another issue. We'll talk about that later. Unlike Rogue Lineage, this game has a big problem when it comes to progressing. Okay, now I want to talk about this specifically. I'm gonna jump the topic real quick. I'm gonna come back to the bouncing because bouncing has a whole list of issues that I want to bring up. You know, I'm just gonna go into suggestions. I'm gonna look at these issues that this game could be facing. But I want to talk about progression real quick. Tell me why. Do I even have one on me? I don't have one on me right now. I have literally nothing on me. But tell me why I can grab a codex and I can farm for what, 20, 30 minutes farming prowlers, the little garbage dogs. I just chase you around the tundra. Tell me why I can farm those guys for, say, 30 minutes. I have Imperial or Anarchaic. How does that work? Because I remember in Rogue, you kind of had to put in a little effort if you weren't Z-scroom farming. If you weren't generally just gripping shrooms, you had to put in some effort. But this game has minimal effort when it comes to progressing, and honestly, minimal effort when it comes to the live system. Because right now, lives are kind of a joke, right? You just farm life crystals from Diego or Mifune. I don't know how you say his name, but just farm life crystals from either of these two. Eventually, maybe after an hour or so, you'll have the life crystals required to go back into your little ganking session. And hey guys, let's go gank. I'm on my raid right now. Yeah, I see one guy. Let's go jump him. Right? That guy loses a life. You know, maybe you'll lose a life. You can just pop a life crystal. No problem. No problem. You'll be able to live. Okay, that's a problem, right? This game cannot have permadeath. It just doesn't work, in my humble opinion. And I've seen some of Starfield's content. You know, I watched his video as well, and I saw a lot of good things, right? If there will be a permadeath system, right? I'm taking this inspiration from one of his streams, the stream where they had the dev bouncing Q&A, a sort of zone system where you lose lives in certain zones. And obviously this comes with all the protection for freshies and all that because, you know, this game would kind of suck for people who are coming into the game and they're just getting gripped 24/7. That's how it was in Rogue. You could just grip freshies if you wanted to. Now, I don't want that. I kind of don't want to see that in this game because this game can do better than that, right? There's so many more creative ways that this game could come up with a wiping system. Adding on to this, the progression, really, the only difficult things are, like, I'd say Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor's kind of a pain to get, but if you have a gamma, you can do a gamma correction on your monitor. You can get away with that. Like, I think I did it for this. I just put my contrast and whatever all the way up, and it was pretty light, but, you know, it's still a struggle. But I'm pretty sure it's a lot harder when the game released. Anyway, so Witch Doctor, I don't know. I could argue Hitman because the Spartan boss, but that's really it for Hitman. I think the other two are pretty easy. Ancient Champions, man, there's so few classes I can think of where it's been a struggle to get. I've progressed through a majority of the classes in the game right now. I've done off camera. I've done a couple more, but I'll show that some other time. Hopefully, when this game has a little more life to it. But yeah, so what I was saying, I was talking about the progression. I was talking about a zone system for losing lives.
Now, here's how I'm thinking this zone system would work. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm thinking it would be something like, I don't know if you guys have ever played it. You've probably heard of it. You've probably seen ads on it, but Albion Online. I know a few other games do this, but that's the game I can think of right now. It has a zone system where certain zones you can lose a life, you can lose your loot. But I think the loot, or losing loot in general, should be all zones. You can lose your loot in all zones. But in certain zones, like these red zones or black zones, it kind of sounds racist a little bit. But hold on. Yeah, so the red zones, black zones, I'm pretty sure that's what it has, right? And each zone is like, you can lose character, items, valuable stuff if you're going through that zone. So people carrying around, I don't know, moonshines, I don't know. They make banking too convenient in this game too. There's a bank literally everywhere. But I don't know if that's a problem. It's not really a problem, is it? Because people want to keep their stuff. But I don't know, there just needs to be more incentives, Someone's coming off of, I don't know, a gank and they get like a moonshine and they head into a black zone. There's just a bunch of people waiting to jump them. It's a flawed system. Like everything would be a flawed system because you can't really put it to the test unless you actually do it. So I feel like they should play around with that. See if that works. I don't know. I kind of can't think of a way to save the PvP in this game. I really can't, because when you think about it, Roblox games are known to have horrendous bouncing in general, and literally some of the worst bugs you've seen in any games come off of Roblox games, I don't know about Rogueblox specifically, but I know it's pretty polished, and I know there's a lot of, the base combat mechanics feel fine, I can swing around my sword. That feels fine. That doesn't feel like it's out of place. It doesn't feel like, it needs a rework or anything like that, or you need to change it. The specific things or specific classes, like Dagger, and specific weapons like the Advanced, like, I don't think you should be able to equip. That's a whole nother topic, but I'll pull that up on the screen too. I don't get why people want in favor of freshies wielding these ultra class, super class weapons when they haven't even got their base class yet. Isn't that kind of insane? You don't need a prog like that, okay? You can prog with a stupid lurker blade from Graveyard, and that will get you all the way to your ultra, no problem, alright? I don't see why freshies are running around, especially in houses, third-partying you with these ultra weapons, okay? That's stupid. Maybe get rid of that. But I feel like a lot of things just don't feel polished enough, okay? I did say there's a lot of polishing in this game. Everything feels relatively refined, but when it comes to certain bouncing for certain things, like P-Rider right now, everybody find out it's busted. You can just throw people off a cliff, head down, hit them with ice spikes, do whatever, okay? That's pretty, advantageous. Where's the weakness at? How do you take down a P-Rider, right? They're underdog, they're just gonna swing, infinite combo you, keep their distance, zone you, right? And turtling in this game is something else too, right? Oh, man shield, right? I'm gonna come up to you with an unblockable move, or like Hitman, where they do their little jump in the air and they throw their stupid knife at you that auto tracks. Which is kind of easy to parry by now, but still, if you get caught off guard with that, they hit you with Night Raid, I forget what the other ability is called. It's like Rats for you, basically. But enough with that, the bouncing in this game's a headache. It needs to be overhauled almost. Get rid of the bouncing team. Fire them all. Right? Get rid of them. Bunch of slackers. You know who you are. You're garbage. You're garbage. I don't like you. You piss me off. Because bad bouncing in games leads to a bad game. That's philosophical right there. That's philosophical. That's elite. That's like ball knowledge right there. But anyway, yeah, I don't want to be that harsh. I don't want to say fire them. They just need to up their game a little bit. They need to understand what players don't actually like. And I made a suggestion, actually. I'll actually just pull that up here. It was about a dungeon. I think it was called something sanguine. And I thought it was really cool because it came from a personal project I was working on a little while ago that never came to fruition. I never was able to work on it that much. But I thought it was really cool. And what I thought would be good for the game is not specifically instanced, but more things to do at the end game. And I know in the Q&A they said there would be more stuff for end game content, but I think they need to start pushing that out now. Otherwise, the game will not only continue to decline, they'll just have a lack of interest overall in general. People just stop being interested in this game. They'll just stop playing. So there's no end game content, and we have all this cool stuff. We're not really putting it to use. It just makes you feel, I don't know, makes you feel like, what the hell am I playing this game for? Just makes you feel a little like, oh, I got all these cool items. I just can't put them to use. What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna sit here, go gank. Really, there's nothing to do. And that's another problem with the game. Okay, I'm not even gonna divide this up into problems anymore because there's too many to count. There's too many to count. And I'm not saying the game is bad. I'm not saying the devs are at fault because, we all can be flawed in certain aspects. And this game has flaws, obviously, like any other game. But I feel like it gets to a point where you need to understand your community's viewpoint and just listen, see what they have to say. There's garbage takes, like nerf this, nerf that. I contribute to those garbage takes. I stand for those garbage takes. But we shouldn't be saying nerf this, nerf that all the time. Instead, actual criticism should be taken not only with a grain of salt, but it should be taken more. It should be taken more seriously. Now, that's kind of, it's odd to say, right? It's odd to say. When it's a devs game, they can do literally whatever they want. And with this game specifically, there's literally endless possibilities they can do, and there's a lot of content they can add in to make the game better. And there's a lot of ways they can fix up the game. And I saw like people saying, oh, add this from Guilty Gear, the burst mechanic, add this, add that. And all these would be beneficial changes, but I think it's all hypothetical because, hey, who's going to test this for them, I'm not saying the testers aren't doing anything. Testers probably do something, right? But if you take the debunking stance and you do literally nothing about it until the community has had enough, it's going to get to a point and the game's going to die. I don't want to see that for this game. I really want this game to thrive. Not only because I've spent a decent sum of Robux on this game, but because I like this game. And I want to continue playing it with a healthy player base, and I want the game to be in a decent state. Not perfect, not good, just decent. Good enough to play, good enough to enjoy. And hopefully, good enough to say, hey, I like playing Rogueblox, Okay, there we go. So, let's go over it again. I already did this. So I spent some time writing this up, and it's not too much, but some things I think would be ever so slightly beneficial, maybe very beneficial. And some people might say, hey, this is garbage, why are you putting this up? But this is my personal ideas. If you don't agree with me, don't hate on me, okay? Hate on me in the comments. Tell me what you don't like about this. If you don't agree with me, hate on me in the comments and tell me what you don't like about this, alright? Because I will tell you what I love about it. So we can cancel each other out. But anyway, so the first thing is combo breakouts slash vents, right? So this is a mechanic that allows you when tag teamed or like when you're taking multi-hit damage. Say you have a Wraith on you and you got like a Priest, you got a whole World Seeker on you. This is like a counter to this multi-hit damage. It'll let you break out of these combos, right? So it would kind of work like a vent, but I don't really want it to be too based off depoking. So maybe it just lets you, for a short time after, like maybe 10 seconds, you get 10 seconds of increased dodge frames after you get to your little breakout, 10 seconds of increased dodge frames and iframes, something like that. Maybe that would be how you kind of just balance that. I don't know. But anyway, second thing, removing artifacts or reworking artifacts. This has been talked about a lot. I saw this on Starfield stream when they were talking about we should probably remove artifacts or rework them. And I think more people would be in favor of a rework because artifacts like a ribcage right now gives you an extreme advantage, right? So you're just ganking with somebody, you come across a ribcage user, you're trying to take this guy down through guard breaks, all this. This guy's not going down, okay? These are too powerful. Get rid of them or fix them, right? So make them so they're good, right? They have their use in certain scenarios, but they have cooldowns and maybe even drawbacks to them. Because these just feel really unfair and really stupid. That's my opinion. They just feel stupid to use. Because how are you gonna go out there, you got this whole dude who has a superior build to you, and you can't even do anything about it, you know? That's kind of some BS right there. But yeah, so make them so they have their drawbacks and make them so they have their own little, you know, they have their versatility, but they don't give an extreme edge to players. So number 3, an unseen aid rework. I've seen a lot of people say this, okay, so I'm gonna bring it up. Freshie third parties are too common in the game right now. You can see a freshie running around with an ultra class weapon. It's like a high spec weapon. This freshie got like, I don't know, a Meow Meow or Advanced C, whatever. They got maybe even a Spire of Isthmia. This guy's running around with this legendary weapon and you can't do anything about it because if you rip it, you become a freshie killer. Yes, it's a piece of garbage gremlins. So maybe change this to when a freshie is in deliberate combat, like when they're causing damage to a ultra class or somebody higher, they actually get a, I don't know, quote unquote freshie tag. That's what the game lists as. So the freshie tag, they initiate the combat, they die, they lose a life. Okay, so because they don't deserve to live, if they're just gonna get this unseen aid, oh, you've been granted unseen aid or whatever. No, garbage, get rid of that. Okay, rework that, and the game will be in a much better state because you won't have these freshies that are brave enough to third party, and even if they are, they're gonna lose a life. Maybe you should change it to they lose their weapon too. No, something like that. Okay, so number 4 is endgame content. Right now, there's no real endgame content, and like everything's just, oh, go farm Mifune, go farm Diego, go do this, go do that, go do Queen Bee, go do Uzwald. Who's even doing Uzwald? Like, I'm being so serious. Who's doing this guy? Who is fighting Uzwald? No one's fighting him. Okay, no one's fighting Uzwald, and that's like, they just made this guy's difficulty scaling like too hard. I've seen people solo him, but like how, right? They say, oh, you're not even supposed to fight him for real. You can't do damage M1s, but whatever, bro. Like this guy doesn't go down. Me personally, I have not learned him. I died 3 times to Uzwald, and I do not feel like learning him because he's just too difficult. And yeah, there's Glads, but every 30 minutes for Glads. Yeah, let's be real. Just add 1v1s at that point, bro. I was arguing against adding 1v1s in Conquest, but that's like a different topic. But so change it to like where there's stuff like dungeons where you can wipe and lose lives with the zone system. Really, I was trying to say that, but so where you can wipe and you can lose lives through like invasions, dungeons, raids, conquest, and more PvP events that can be player initiated in servers. So what I mean by player initiated is it happens in the servers. Players can contribute, and yeah, and not all of them have to be instanced. Okay, they can just remove that. All right, instance content is kind of, you know, it gets boring and lonely after a bit of time. But anyway, number 4, changing the live system. Now this is a big one. Okay, so credit to Starfield because I saw this in his stream and I'm pretty sure he said this. So again, credit to you. And changing the live system to where it's like zones from Albion. That's my idea of it. So there would be like red zones or black zones and stuff like that. I'll pull those up if I didn't already earlier. I'll pull them up again. And these are zones where you can like lose a life and lose your stuff. So maybe, hey, you lost your weapon, something like that. You have a nice weapon equipped, you lost it. That sucks. You lost your weapon. And I feel like this would combat a lot of, you know, people just having these ideas where they get, oh, it's okay, after I go ganking, I'll just go get a life crystal. Nah, but you lost your weapon. Go grab your weapon again, right? You gotta go back to that zone. If your weapon's not there, if someone took it, you know? But yeah, so I feel like it's a little unfair to people who have like Spire of Isthmia and stuff like that and like all those nice legendary weapons. But I don't care. Go get your weapon back or like suffer the loss, you know? Go back to using a copper sword. I don't care, right? And number 5, my final one, because I don't want to make this too long, hindering combat mobility, okay? Daggers and other fast reforges, like a bit overtuned, right? So change them so when you're in combat, climbing, running, any activity that requires you to, or gives you mobility, should be lowered, right? With dodge frames and iframes increased to like counteract this. That's my idea. And this would be like forcing players to be very upfront and personal and allow the effective use of the combat breakout mechanic. So that would let people just be able to go close and upfront and have these fights, and maybe you would have more opportunities to escape certain combos. Like if Priest is trying to knock you into Dave Valentis and an M2 and all that, you have your dodge. You can dodge. Oh my god, fantastic! What a way to counteract this. Okay, so there's a lot of things that could be changed, but these are just some of my ideas and some of the community's ideas because, you know, I'm not original. I get inspiration from other people. But yeah, I don't have much else to say. You know, there's so many more things that this game could benefit from, and you know, just overall have a lot of better playability. Okay, that's the word I'm looking for. Playability. The game can have better playability. It's a lot easier to enjoy the game. So hopefully you guys enjoy these changes. If you don't, come argue with me in the comments about it, okay? Yeah, start a fight with me. Yeah, what are you gonna do about that? Yeah, you can start a fight with me in the comments, my own comments. Yeah, I'm gonna delete your comments if I don't like it. Just kidding. Anyway, like, subscribe, alright? I'm gonna get a deep video out, because honestly, I got a lot to talk about that game too, but we'll get to that later. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. Alright, I'll catch you all later. Peace out.